It now dawned on me what a platform like this one can do for people. You can actually make an impact on the lives of Kenyans with such a platform. She took me all through that. Then after she had taught me that, now we went through what is the issue, what is ailing the environment in our country, and we went through the legislation. And she told me there is no legislation. 1989 amended briefly, but an archaic law that was never promulgated alongside with the new constitution. Still there, sitting there, nobody doing anything about it. We went through the policy, a progressive policy, but that needed upgrading and modernization and whatnot. Then we went through the institutions, or the lack of Mathare itself, and the amount of work it needs, and the challenges she went through when she was superintendent in Mathare. After the 4 hours, without a doubt, I knew what my work is. Right there, I knew what my work is. I just knew what my work is. And the next step I took from there was to, of course, go to Parliament. Parliament has all the resources when it comes to legislative intervention. So, of course, I go to the clerk and I say, I want to get into mental health. I need to get all the information that we can on mental health. So immediately the researchers are put to task and they pull out any attempt at changing the legislation was brought to my desk and I could see. And then the next step is to talk with the Ministry of Health because they're the key stakeholders. So I made an appointment there and I met then Dr. Juguna. He was still acting director of mental health. He met me and he said, I told him, I want to amend the law because it has never been amended. And you could see the shock in his face. He said, oh, that's good luck. This is what we've tried. He fished out for me any material they had tried as a ministry and he said, yeah, if they're going to help you, let them help you. And that's where the journey started. And it's been a long journey. It's been tough, but it's very fruitful.
The impact has been
very rewarding for me, very fulfilling.
Great.
You can actually, it now dawned on me what a platform like this one can do for people. You can actually make an impact on the lives of Kenyans with such a platform.
Great.
Yes.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So you talked of two.
Yes, so that was the first one.
The first one.
Yes, that was the
What's
first one. The second one is alternative dispute resolution. I'm an arbitrator. As part of my architectural profession, I arbitrate and listen to matters to do with construction. And I did my courses through the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, Kenya and UK. So I serve even as a branch member to this day. I'm very passionate about alternative dispute resolution. I believe we could be a much more peaceful society if we could deal with our disputes more amicably and a more amicable approach to dealing with disputes. So I'm one of those advocates that before you run to court, get a third party just to come and sit with the two of you, the way it was done traditionally. I keep saying that the court system is actually the alternative from where we come from our African setting, from our Kenyan setting, from our forefathers setting. The court system, the formal system of dealing with disputes is what is foreign to us. It's the alternative. Before that, we would resolve our disputes in a sitting, either with some elders or whatever, and a lot of cases are still resolved in that manner. But I looked towards mainstreaming it. I said, why can't we make it mainstream? After all, the Chief Justice Maraga then, and now Justice Kome, have all said how the backlog is so big. Can we look to alternative methods of resolving our disputes? So if you must go to court, it's really a last resort. Or it's a question of enforcing a decision which was done away from court and one party is still reluctant. So I'm an advocate of ADR, and through the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators where I serve, we trained the senators on what is alternative dispute resolution and the different forms of it. There are different forms from conciliation to mediation, adjudication in construction. Even arbitration is the last form, which is more formal than the others. But we want to really mainstream those other forms of alternative dispute resolution. So we got the training done for senators, and I introduced a bill, Alternative Dispute Resolution Bill, which is currently in progress. But there's a significant pushback, of course, from the legal fraternity, who feel that we are infringing on their daily bread, because for them their daily bread is you take matters to court. But we are telling them they'll be surprised to know that there's also bread to be earned even in the alternative, dispute resolutions mechanisms. They just need to come and train a little, and they can also be dispute resolvers or representatives of people in those forums that are not judicial forums. But the idea is that, can we try and resolve our disputes in an amicable way without first going to court, which is adversarial. The court system is very adversarial. Yeah. And more often than not, you will not even salvage that relationship. At the end of it, you will not salvage that relationship. We're saying, let's create a peaceful, even our constitution envisions the creation of a peaceful, cohesive society. And the ADR is entrenched in our constitution. It's actually there, it is recognized. So to mainstream it would be a beautiful thing, that at any one time you have a dispute that is not like a murder case, it's a civil dispute. Can we first, get a third party to come and listen to it before we go?
Especially during elections.
Election petitions are different, and those are not, they're not covered. Yeah, those ones are not covered as part of ADR.
It would be an easy it's not having so many fights.
It would not, yes, but for some reason, even the drafters of the bill, as well as the advisors from the legislative team in Parliament, they removed those. There are some criminal matters that, because of the Bill of Rights, you cannot put under such. Those have to be handled by state. And election petitions are some of those, and constitutional matters can also not go into ADR. Those have to be, those have to clearly go there. But those other disputes that are our everyday issues, you stole my money, you moved your boundary, you did this, that car, you didn't finish the sale agreement, you flouted this, you did this. Those things don't need to go and go to court. Considering already the backlog is something we are dealing with. We have backlog that runs into years. And we have to help the court system, And also, when you're in court, it holds up your money. There's the commercial aspect of disputes. You have to pay, or your project is at a standstill. Whatever project it is, whether it's a project of buying a car or a piece of land, that project comes to a standstill until it is determined. Yes. So it will take years to determine, which is very unfair. You always find there's a party that really, really suffers from the lack of justice. So those are the two things I can say I've done, but alongside many other small things. I've done a lot of motions that have been debated in the House. I've introduced several new concepts here, like the roads. One of my first statements and motions to do was for counties to adopt, how do I call it, an alternative way of building earth roads, so that they don't require constant maintenance. So the maintenance budgets can now be moved to other development agenda items. Okay. So something I'm still yet to see come to fruition, but amongst many other things that we do in Parliament.
Roads, you're part of the ad hoc committee on roads, public works?
Yes, I am in the standing committee on roads and public works, yes.
And from that, I don't know if you've heard the complaints of Kenyans, especially the users of Mombasa Road.
I am a user of Mombasa Road myself.
What is it that you're doing to ease in? I mean, the construction is an amazing project.
Yes.
But what is it you're doing to help sort the current?
I know. People are sleeping on the road. Even I was stuck there just the other weekend.
Which also comes back to your mental health.
We all get our issues now from sitting in traffic for so long. It's a serious issue. No, we've had conversations with the CS on this. Not once. I think 3 times at committee. For him to tell us how he's going to ease off. And there is not enough bypasses, especially now where the construction is happening at Mlolongo. There's nowhere for Kenyans to run away to. When it was nearer in Nairobi, then we could use, all the bypasses. Yes. You could exit into the bypasses, and that would help ease the traffic a little bit. There's another route through ICD, which I use, and now it's not making sense, because even if you use it, you get stuck at Mlolongo. So there we are really stuck. And the CS he's not sure what to tell us anymore, because there's nowhere he can exit the traffic. He's asking us to bear with them, but they're really speeding up. At least the thing he has said they will do is speed it up.
So
but I know it is not even me, I've been
you
stuck
don't
on
know,
that
Kenyans
road.
will
It's
not
not
take
enough.
that as an
No,
answer.
no, they
Because
won't
again,
take it.
goes by, if you use
Yeah.
that road daily, you'll have mental issues.
I
and
know.
anger.
I have my staff who use it every day and it's painful. Paka now, I've even told them now, come only 3 times a week because it's not making sense. Every day you're stuck in traffic on your way back. And again, I release them early. These days, people leave my office at 3.
And they get home at midnight.
Yeah, at 3. Imagine. Because if you leave later, again, you're still stuck there. So those are some of the challenging things from where I sit that I wouldn't even know how to answer Kenyans. Because you've interacted with the minister. The minister said we are, they have really pushed that the contractor is going to finish ahead of time. In fact, when he said it's now February and not December, because what he had assured us was December.
Yes.
Now he has moved to February and my heart just sank. My heart sank because there's nowhere else for Kenyans to exit. You're not going to go from Kitengela to Isinya to Ngong to get into Nairobi. The distance is just too much.
I'm sorry, I've asked
Yeah.
a question, but
I'm a user. I myself am a user of that road.
you just need to encourage them.
Yeah.
Right on that camera. It's not.
I really have nothing I can say other than to tell you it has been in our radar as members of parliament. Me, I've been stuck there. I've even called the PS. I'm like, for heaven's sake, what is this? And he says, we don't know what else we can do. We just bear with it. It's a good piece of infrastructure. We'll enjoy it when it is done.
So
But
you
for the
have
time
to
being,
wait.
we are sweating, we are crying, we are losing money because you lose a lot of money when you're sitting in that traffic. And sometimes you feel like you're being punished. I don't want to be political on your platform,
Yes.
but there are many things I could say that may not be very appropriate.
It's okay. So now let's moving on. Sorry, Mombasa Road, I tried. Next, the question that I want to ask: what has been the impact of women senators?
As a
I
whole,
know it's a group of around 20.
we are 21.
Yes,
Yeah, about
so
21. Yeah.
what has been your impact as women? Because we've been fighting to have more women
Yes.
to that gender role,
Yeah.
which you've actually achieved as Senate.
Yeah,
now,
Senate
with the
we
addition
achieved.
of the
Senator of
Yes,
Machakos,
yes.
Senator Kavindu. Me, I know, and I may be biased, but I don't care. But women senators have reigned in that house. We have done well. In terms of our mandate as legislators, the mandate of raising questions during statement hour, raising motions, and especially motions. In fact, motions have been carried through by women senators in that house, and especially nominated senators. We have some outstanding women in that house who have done outstanding pieces of legislation. That one I can guarantee you. If Kenyans, okay, now BBI was doing away with nominated slots, which is fine because maybe Kenyans don't feel the impact of the nominated members in the house. But I can confidently say the nominated members of Senate, at least a good number of them, have done proud their political parties for those nominations because they have really participated in their duties in the House. We have been the ones closing the House most of the time. We are the ones who have moved motions. Most of the motions, we are the ones who have moved them. At committee, we have participated in our legislative work, which is looking at bills and policies that we have done. And it's been just wonderful working with my fellow women senators.
So what would you say has been the biggest achievement as a group? Something that we can point out. You see, like the way you pointed out, mental health for you has been the 8. What's the 8 for
women senators?
2017 to 20, now 22.
I don't know how to answer that. I'm trying to see how I can answer that. But I know if today you pulled out, not just the Hansard, but if you pulled out the tracker of bills and motions and statements from their all different areas of interest, because you see, you always do what is of interest to you. You'll see some of the most impactful items that affect everyday life of the Kenyan were done by the women nominated senators in that house. That one I can assure you, I can guarantee you, if you pulled out that tracker, because it's there, you can just pull it out from the Senate website. You will see what they have done in their different areas of interest.
And the elected ones?
The elected ones are few, We have Kavindu who just joined. So, I mean, she's still new in the house.
Learning.
But no, she's actually making impact because she sits in the CPIC. And I remember in the Public Accounts Committee, And I remember how she took her governor to task when he appeared. And you see, a lot of work of legislators also happens at committee, which is never really brought to the limelight. Most of the time, you only hear their participation on the floor of the House, a debate. But you don't hear the debate that happens when we are in our various committees, which is something we spoke with Mzalendo, and I was telling them, you need to find a way in the next cycle of parliament to see how members are engaging at committee, because that's really where the heart of our work is. The other elected member is our deputy speaker. And she's quite the mobilizer on the ground, our deputy speaker. She's a fantastic lady. And she has done well to support a lot of women. And I know she's making impact in her home area. And the other one is Senator Dulo. Senator Dulo is very active in the floor of the House. That one you have no doubt.
No doubt.
You have no doubt about it.
Yes.
And of course, Senator Kehika has also been very vocal. Despite the politics that has been happening of Tanga and Kielewe, she herself on her ground, I think her work will speak for herself. And even in the floor of the House, their works, all of them, their works speak for themselves. So women senators have had a huge impact in the lives of Kenyans, in this political cycle.
Right now, to something else that has been making headlines in the recent past is on police brutality.
Yes.
And sadly, we've lost so many young people in the recent past. The specific cases that I'll point out is the Kitengela 4, which was not by police, that was the public. But, I mean, it's an investigation. But I'll point out the Kenjokonwa brothers. Why is it that, especially you women senators, just went quiet about the whole issue?
Oh no, we didn't
Not
go quiet.
Not just in that particular story, but
Yeah.
just the whole police affair.
No, we didn't go quiet. We didn't go quiet. Again, a lot gets lost in translation. And sometimes I don't know who to blame, maybe the media, I don't know. But that issue was brought to the floor of the House. In fact, it started in Embu. When it started in Embu, the Embu Senator Ndwiga brought it to the floor of the House. I don't think there's any senator who did not speak on that issue. Not just women senators. There's no any single senator who did not speak on that issue. And in the end, the speaker had to direct that the CS Matiang'i, alongside the IG and all the others in the pecking order of the security system in the country, have to appear in front of Senate. In fact, it should be happening probably this coming week. I think 2 weeks. 2 weeks have passed, yeah. It should be happening. And in fact, what we were demanding for is a committee of the whole, where it is not just at committee, security committee, but we wanted all the senators were demanding that we want to be present in that interrogation, because we really want to understand what is the issue. Now, the issue of police brutality, we had dealt with in the ad hoc committee of COVID, if you remember, last year, around April, May.
Yeah,
the same thing was envisioned. We summoned them. It was a big issue. In fact, it took us a while to pin down CS Matiang'i, because he's a busy super CS. But we were very offended. In fact, we had to summon him using now the law, which requires that, we surcharge him for not appearing when we had called him. And he came and made a very spirited presentation to us that there's nowhere in the instructions that are given in the entire interior, ministry, where, police brutality should be used to enforce curfew. And he said these are isolated cases and they will be dealt with as such. And during that COVID time, I think at that time Senator Sakaja was still chairing the committee, had not yet taken over. And he really pushed, because for him it was his residents here in Isili who had been affected. And he really pushed that the ministry, make sure the police officers who were involved, were held culpable, which they were. In the end, they were, and they were named, and all that stuff. And the CS has consistently said that these are isolated cases, which means then the issue is much broader. It's much broader, but it also points down to their training. We now have to start interrogating what is first the caliber of policemen that we have. What is the training then they are being given? Because why should they then have such high-handedness when it comes to enforcing of things like curfew? Or maybe the whole concept of enforcement is not correct from where it comes from. And so these are conversations we're going to have in Senate as a committee of the whole. Gone are the days when we say this thing of doing this ad hoc statements that you make along the way. We don't want to do things like that anymore. You see us come. After all, now the law is clear, our constitution is clear, the work of parliament is clear. When an issue like that arises, you summon the CS, he has a duty and obligation to appear before parliament, before whatever committee, and we can interrogate the matters there, come up with a resolution of which then they have to go and put into effect. And that is how we've been prosecuting our matters in parliament. We don't want this thing of something happens here, you see members of parliament rushing there. That does not help anything. Just appearing on the media to, that does not help. The heart of the matter is, have you summoned, according to law, that CS? Why is this happening? Deal with it in this manner, in this manner, in this manner. We need justice for Kenyans. Kenyans should not be subjected, to such atrocities. So we are dealing with it. That one I can assure you.
So, in line with that also, what do you feel is the place of the youth in politics?
Big time. Every time I have spoken to young people, I have told them, you have to wake up and you must participate in politics. You must. Our governance structure, the way our constitution has envisioned our governance structure, you enter into that structure through your political parties. There's no any other way. You enter through your political parties. So you must align yourselves with a political party and you must participate so that you grow in it and you start finding your positions in it. Again, young people can lobby. They can create their own lobby groups because whether we like it or not, they're the ones who are going to determine the next leaders because they're the majority voters now. That's why everyone is enticing them with all sorts of, talks. And you need to watch. Young people, you need to watch. The wolves. The wolves are walking amongst the sheep. They're going to use you. If the youth know the power that they hold, in the fact that you have the numbers to put in your leaders, then it's time to coalesce together. Like-minded people, you coalesce together, you identify who are your leaders, and you put them into that structure. I've seen the Makueni youth actually doing that, and it's impressive. In fact, the next county government of Makueni, I'm telling you, will be full of young people. I'm looking forward to it. Because even they start at that level, they're going to be the next members of parliament, then they're going to be the next senators and governors, and this is how this whole thing grows.
So youth, change our country.
This is how we change our country. But you have to be organized. You have to realize the power you hold, and you have to realize for you to really, make the most out of your power, you have to come together. You have to come together. You have to be drawn together with the issues that, that you identify with in groupings and big lobby groups, and you start putting your people into the leadership structure.
That's true.
You have to do that.
Yes. And as we come to a conclusion, you've served your term as a nominated senator. What's next for you? 2022 is in a few, 300 or something.
Yeah, counting down.
350 something
days, yeah. Well, we're waiting for BBI.
Which is now gone.
So now I have no excuse. I can't say I've been waiting for BBI.
Yes.
But we are really hoping for BBI for many reasons. Let me just touch on this one. When it comes to the 2/3 gender role, I see without BBI, we are going to have a parliament that is not properly constituted. Even if the IEBC is going to say, let the party lists be representative of the 2/3 gender role. It's one thing having a party list that has achieved the 2/3. It's a different matter when we go to the ballot, because you may not get that 2/3 at the end of the ballot counting. So more often than not, and without a doubt, we will have another parliament that is wrongly constituted come next parliament. And the first item of the agenda will be somebody will run to court and say, dissolve that parliament, the way we've been sitting unconstitutionally. So for me, I feel that is a miss for us who have been, advocates of the BBI. I was looking forward to a female senator seat in Makueni. But now that is not there, I have to. We are very strong candidates in Makueni, by the way. We are very strong candidates who've been lined up, they've been on the ground, they've been working. And they have the advantage to being on the ground and working. So for us who are slightly newcomers, we have a long way to go. Yeah. So now I have to sit back and strategize. And I think in the next maybe 3 weeks or so, I should be able then to have an idea. But now it's a period, and I'm sure you're going to see a bit of a lull amongst politicians before the noise starts. And the lull is because This option now is off.
So now
Now we are rethinking plan B, C, and D to see what we are going to do. So we need a little time.
Time. We shall give you time, and we shall have you soon again. Final message to maybe the people of Kenya and maybe the people of Makueni.
Oh, well, we are going into a very delicate time. Politics is delicate, and politics shapes our lives. There are those of us who don't want to be involved in politics. And I always say to them, you're making a big mistake, because a lot of what is your life today is determined in that house. I can tell you, we sit through those laws and those policies and we debate them. And if you don't bring your views, we will pass our views. It's a time for young people to think critically on how they're going to enter into these governance structures. And I want to encourage young people, coalesce around your like-minded people and push your agenda together. Musipangwe na watu wengine who have their own, intentions and personal, motives. Arrange yourselves, because the era that we are going to is an era for young people, and you must be on that table of negotiating and determining your own future. And if you get it wrong this year, let me tell you, if you get it wrong, this politics of 2022, it will be a very long time before you can change it up. And you young people are the ones who will be most affected. That's just a message to you. But I encourage you, and as always, let's pray for our country.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it. Young people, us young people, tusikubali kupangwa. And that's how we end the show tonight. Thank you for watching. My name is Sarah Mondi. See you next Sunday, same time. This is The Hot Six.